Hi chaps, Simo P here from Beard, Biceps and Batchat. Today's review of the 3 Tier 8 premium tanks that have been released is going to be the M46 Patton KR. Now this is a Tier 8 premium, obviously, US medium tank. First thing you're going to notice on this tank is it has a fairly ferocious paint job. So this tank was used in the Korean War, and that's where they decided to put tank scariness paint job on it. Now this is actually based off an actual tank that was fighting with this exact same camo scheme. It's fairly similar to what we saw in the Ripper as well. The Ripper Sherman, the Tier 5 American medium premium tank. I know some people like it, some people really dislike it. I'm kind of impartial, you know, it's unique, I don't mind it at all one way or the other. My focus really isn't on tanks, how aesthetic they are, more on what their performance is like. So to give you a sort of a headline, what we're going to do with this review is we're going to compare this to another Tier 8 American tank, which is the Pershing. Now, just to give you the headline on this tank, so this tank is actually a stock Tier 9 M46 Patton, hence the name M46 Patton. So it has the stock turret, it has the stock hull of the Tier 9 medium, but the gun itself is actually the top gun with a couple of differences from the Pershing. So I feel that's going to be the best thing to compare it against, so we're just going to go straight into it. So the first thing we're going to compare is the firepower of the Patton against that of the Pershing. So it's a little bit of an interesting one, this. The DPM on this thing works out 1853 compared to the Pershings, which is 1831. Now interestingly, compared this against other Tier 8 premium tanks, it's actually kind of low. The CDC, the STA2, their DPM sits around the 2k mark, so it's not sort of a full shot difference, but there is a difference. Now the pen on this tank, it's not too bad with its normal ammunition. It works out at 192mm of pen. It's got 2mm more than the Pershing, which has 190. The damage, as with most 90mm, it's pretty universal across the board, which is 240 damage per shot. Now the rate of fire on this gun isn't too terrible. It's nothing stellar, again, by its slightly low DPM. You're managing to get out, what, how does that work out? 8.10 second reload, so you're working on about 7 rounds per minute, 7.5 rounds a minute. The Pershing is getting 7.63 rounds a minute. You're looking off 7 rounds a minute, essentially, however you look at it. Same with the Pershing, so it's very similar. So some of the differences we're actually going to see, and the main one is, looking very quickly, is at the shell velocity. The shell velocity on the normal ammunition on this tank is only 853 meters a second, whereas the Pershing is 975 meters a second. All that means is when you're shooting at targets, you've got to give them a little bit more lead time, just so you can actually hit them and it doesn't go whizzing past them. So the other thing I want to have a little look at and do a little bit of comparison is the weapon and the handling. So the aim time on this tank is 2.5 seconds compared to the Pershing's 2.21. We've got an accuracy of 0.38 compared to the Pershing's 0.35. So on the soft stats, this isn't quite as accurate as the Pershing. It's taken longer to aim in, and the accuracy isn't quite as good as the Pershing's. You know, something we can live with. It's nothing too crazy. But what this has that the Pershing doesn't have is it has very good soft gun stats. Now by that I mean it's very good at snapshot, and if you've played up the Patton line, the M46 and the M48, you'll know this is just heavenly. It's almost like playing in an OBJ 140 with a blessing from Stalin when you're shooting this thing snapshotting. It is very good. Now this tank, like the rest of the line, also comes with 10 degrees of gun depression, so you're getting a little hint how this tank is gonna play. So far there's hardly any differences between this and the Pershing. So if we move over to the movement, it's got a really healthy 810 horsepower. It's got a fairly good power to weight ratio of 18.5. The Pershing has got the same top speed, 48 kilometers per hour. It's got 20 kilometers backwards, again same as the Pershing. Now the difference here is the Pershing has less horsepower than this tank. So you would assume this tank is a little bit quicker, or can at least get to the top speed quicker. No, it can't, and this is because of the terrain resistances. The Pershing actually has better terrain resistances than the Patton KR. So essentially, these tanks are pretty much going at the same speed. Up to now, the tanks and the performance are pretty much identical. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting, and that is the armour. So, the hull armour of the Patton is 101 on the front, 75 on the side, 50 on the back. Pershing exactly the same, 101, 76 and 50 on the back. The turret 101 on the front, 76 on the side and 76 on the back, while the Pershing has 127mm, 76 and 63. So if you've played the Pershing, you'll know the gun mantlet can be very bouncy. The gun mantlet on the Pershing, very large, covers pretty much the entire front turret of the tank, works out almost over 200mm effective, whereas on this tank it's about 114mm. It's really not that thick. If you're up against this tank, you can literally pen it anywhere on the front, even the gun mantlet. The upper glacis on this tank isn't particularly incredible. It's 101mm effective. The lower plate is 76mm effective. And if you can't pen the upper glacis because they're hiding the lower glacis, you've got the gun point on the right hand side of the tank, which is again very flat, as you can see on the front just there's no angle to it, and again that's about 76mm effective. So pretty much anything is going to go through that. That is the biggest difference between this and the Pershing. It's one of the more surprising, better aspects of the Pershing that is a pity you don't get with this tank. The other big difference that you get with this tank from the... It's not a big difference, it's a difference. You get 390 millimeters? What? 390 meters of view range, whereas the Pershing gets 400 meters of view range. Now that's not a huge difference. You can make that up with food, vents, with your setup. It's not too crazy to make up a difference. Now the playstyle of this tank is again very similar to the Pershing. You just can't rely on your mantlet and doing some hold down shenanigans. So you want to sort of shy away from playing peekaboo. You're going to be playing a support role. Use your snapshots. Don't shy away from shooting on the move, because you're going to be able to do that without too much of a problem. Use your speed and your view range to your advantage. Obviously you're not the quickest tank, but you are not a slow tank. You have to excuse me in a minute. I'm just very quickly checking the aim time. 0.37 accuracy compared to 0.35? Yeah, so this is still slightly more accurate. The other one is the penetration, 268mm of of premium penetration on this tank. On the Pershing is superior to the Pattons, so you might feel it a little bit at tier 10. 0.37. Let's have a little look at that, actually. Maybe that's a little bit different. If we have a little look, you'll have to excuse me, I'm just putting through some... Yeah, so the Pershing's more accurate, yeah, I thought it would be. Yeah, and the APCR penetration is better on the Pershing. Lost my train of thought, just checking it there. Now, I enjoyed playing the Pershing a lot. I enjoyed the play style. To me, it's a great all-rounder tank. This tank, like the Pershing, again, just a very good all-rounder tank. Now the cost of this tank is, and the very base bundle that's going to be released later on in the month, is 9,100 gold. So to me, is it worth it? Now that very much depends on your reasons why you're looking at purchasing this tank. If you're looking at purchasing a tier 8 tank to make money, I would say no. You're better off looking at the Super Pershing, the STA2, any tier 8 tank that has preferential matchmaking, even a Type 59. The reason being, you're not going to see tier 10 and they're sub 8,000 gold, so it's 1,100 gold cheaper and you're getting preferential matchmaking. This tank If you're looking to buy it because you need a tier 8 premium, because you're training up crews, then the obvious comparison is this versus a Pershing. It will make money, it's good, it's got a lot of speed on the Super Pershing, but it doesn't have the armour. Obviously the Super Pershing's got sort of a riot shield on the front of the hull and the turret. So again, I'd pick up the Super Pershing over this tank as well. If you're getting it because you like the look of it and you think it's quite fun and you get it in the bundle for 8,000 gold, then yeah, definitely worth looking at. For me personally, this isn't a tank I wasn't sure actually until I did a bit more research on it. This isn't a tank I'm actually going to pick up. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first is I have 5 or 6 premium American tanks. I've grinded up all the lines I want to in the American lines. I don't need any more tier 8 premiums to make money. I don't need a crew trainer. If I want a tank that plays jack of all trades, I can just buy back the Persian because I have it already. But that's not to say this isn't a good tank. It is a good tank. It is an all-rounder tank, and that is the strength in this tank. So I would say it is worth it depending on what your motives are to buy the tank. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you found this review useful, informative, or if you've hated it, yeah, chuck that in the comment section below. Why not? Guys, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time, chaps, where we'll be looking at the mutts, and we've got some very, very good Centurion Action X gameplay as well later on in the week that I hope you enjoy, as well as another clan fight video. We've got 2 more of those coming up, so I will catch you next time, chaps.